let's have a conversation. I'm about to remove this from the screen really quick. Yeah, there we go. What's happening, y'all? I had that picture up there for a reason. I'm going to put that picture back up. But before I even get into my presentation, I want to welcome anyone who has not been to my channel before. A little bit about my channel is that it's called Music and Mental Health. I always tell the people who have been on my channel before that I wish I could put more of the music part up, but basically YouTube only lets you put up music if you're an original composer. So a lot of the songs that I do are covers. I don't compose music actually, so almost all the songs that I do are covers of songs that have already been done, and YouTube demonetizes those songs. So that's the reason why you don't see too much music. But mental health is something that I do talk about on this channel, no matter what the topic is, whether I'm talking about a TV show that I like, whether I'm talking about my personal life, celebrities, whatever it is, sports. I always aim to focus on the mental health aspects. So with that said, I'm going to be diving in to some changes that I have made this year with my health, with my physical health, and how those changes came about and what motivated me to start making those changes. If you have not yet, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. So I'm going to dive right into this. Now, before I get into my little presentation piece, I'm going to show you some visuals. The reason I had that picture up was because I was planning to show you guys the visuals, the receipts, if you will. So this picture is from somewhere in January of this year, right? I mean, I was already starting to get on the right track because I had already lost about maybe 20 pounds at this point, but I still had another 35 that I wanted to lose. So I might have been in the 210, 215 pound range in this picture. I was still working out. I was still feeling pretty good, but not as optimal as I wanted to feel. And this was from a few days ago. So this is a difference from January to December. As you can see next to each other, it's a pretty big and a pretty, it's a pretty big difference between January and December in these two photos. And I just wanted to show you guys that visual and then kind of circle back in time and show you how I got here. Okay. Ooh, let's go back. All right. So we're going to start here with step 1. Learning to love yourself right now while you work towards where you're going. Because I know a lot of people just look at the pictures and say, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to start to love myself and love my body once I get to my goal. The thing about it is you don't reach your goal overnight. It took me months to reach the goal that I showed you in those pictures. So imagine if I was waiting until I was at the end goal to start loving myself. It would probably eventually get to a point where I wouldn't want to continue because it took a long time and a lot of hard work to get there. So if you're only going to love yourself at the end, you're probably not even going to get to the end. So there's a saying and a quote that I've heard that actually says, learn to love your basement while you work on your ceiling. And I took that quote to mean learn to love yourself right now, wherever you are, whatever shape you have, whatever body you have right now. Learn to love yourself right now while you work towards getting to where you ultimately want to be. And this is a huge step. That's why I put this first, because if you forget everything else, I want you to remember this. I want you to remember this. Love yourself now. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter why you're there, how you got there, if it was a fall from glory, if you're not in the best shape that you have ever been in your life. It doesn't matter. Throw that away, because your body is just the shell. Your body is the vehicle that carries you around. But no matter what body you have, you're still going to have the same heart. You're still going to have the same brain, the same mind. Things are going to change about you, but you are still inherently going to be you, no matter what body you're carrying around. So that's what I put for number 1. Moving on along to number 2 here. Take an honest inventory of where you are. Map out where you want to be and how you will get there. So this is a hard thing to do. And I've said this can apply to so many things. This can apply to getting rid of a debt. This can apply to goal setting of any kind. It doesn't have to be fitness, but specifically here, we're talking about health and fitness. So taking an honest inventory means sometimes you might be afraid to step on that scale, but you have to step on that scale. You have to take your measurements. First of all, you have to see how much you weigh and where you are, the damage that has been done, if there has been damage done, or even if you're not trying to come from a place of you're reversing a bunch of weight gain you put on. Even if you are at a good weight that you kind of like and you're just trying to get better, you still have to take an inventory of where you are. And the reason why I say an honest inventory is it can be painful. It can be hard. I didn't step on the scale for like a year, maybe. So I just realized that my pants weren't fitting. And I realized that my shirts were not buttoning. I couldn't button my pants closed. And I was like, I don't want to know. I'm just going to work and take it off. But it wasn't coming off because I didn't even know what I was trying to take off and how much damage had been done for me. So I had to take an honest inventory of where I was. And I also had to take a look at all the different things that I was eating that were contributing to the place where I was. And then in my case, you don't have to do this, but it was helpful for me to get the assistance of a personal trainer to help me take those measurements and also to give me a nutrition plan towards helping me reverse what I had done. And it was also hard to see everything mapped out that I was doing currently, to see what I weighed currently and all my current measurements, because it can be hard to admit, like, I fell off the rails. And even though I can blame personal factors and environmental factors, at the end of the day, it's my fault, because we all have choices to make. And I made many choices along the road that bumped me up to a place that I was no longer comfortable. On to number 3. Learning to let tough life circumstances propel you rather than take you out of the game. This is a big one. And this is a universal one that applies to everybody, because life is tough for everyone in different ways. Even the person who appears to have the best life that you've ever seen visually has struggles that you don't know about. I promise you that. I guarantee you that. So The thing is, you have to learn to disconnect your life circumstances from your fitness and health journey. And I learned that the hard way. I've said this a few times on this channel. When I put on this huge amount of weight in 2020, it's not because of my life circumstances, but they certainly didn't help. They certainly didn't help. And then when I was trying to get myself back on track, I hired this trainer. We were scheduled to meet on this certain day. I forgot that. I think we were supposed to meet sometime early evening. And then I was at work and I remember getting a call from my mom. And it was like, hey, your dad had a stroke and is now in the hospital. And at that point in time, I was like, you know what? This is too much. I want to put fitness on the back burner because I have to deal with what is going on with my dad. This is an emergency. So I remember what happened was I was getting ready to call this trainer and tell him that I was not going to do the session, and then I was going to postpone for a while, cancel maybe, and then come back to him when everything in my life was better. Excuse me. Yeah, so that was my plan of what I was going to do with that. So I remember that day vividly. I ended up going to the hospital, visiting my dad, and I saw him in the hospital, and it was difficult seeing him there. He was going to be kept for observation. They were going to do tests, brain scans. They were going to do a whole bunch of different stuff. And I was just really sad, and I was really out of it. I didn't want to do fitness was the last thing on my mind. So I said to myself when I got home, I was sitting at home and I was thinking about the session and I was thinking about canceling. And I was like, his condition is like a degenerative condition. So it's not ever going to get better. It's going to get worse. So I said, when is going to be a time period where everything clears up for me to be in a good space for fitness? What is a good space for fitness, really? If I think back to it, I guess what one might consider a good space to do fitness is when there's nothing major, no major trauma or no death in the family, no major sickness of someone you're close to, etc. Like going through a long stretch of time without having to deal with anything like that. But that is not a guarantee in life because anything can happen at any time. So that was a very pivotal choice that I had to make that day. And I decided that I was not going to cancel the session because I said I checked on my dad. He's in the best possible care he could be in. He's going to be in the hospital overnight, possibly longer. What can I do here? What can I do to help him more than what I've done so far? Nothing. And I said, my health and my fitness is important to me. So I kept going with the session. But I'm human. So I was really down and I was really stressed. Got in the session. Probably had the worst training session of my life, to be honest with y'all, because if you're not in it mentally, it's hard to be in it physically, right? So, man, I was going through it and I pushed through it. I didn't tell the trainer at the beginning of the workout. At the end of the workout, he was like, good job, you pushed through. And I remember telling him at that point, I need to tell you what I pushed through. I was like, today, my dad had a major stroke. I went and I saw him in the hospital a couple of hours before coming out here. He was like, wow, man, you didn't have to come. And I'm like, but I actually did. I actually did, because this is where I learned to separate my tough life circumstance from my health and fitness, learning to let a tough life circumstance propel me rather than take me out of the game. Because many people in that same situation would go home and just say, I'm not coming back out. This is too much for me to deal with. It took a certain level of mental toughness, and it also took me reminding myself of my purpose. My purpose was different now than it had ever been. Before, it was basically just aesthetics. I just want to be ripped. I want to be strong. I want to have good looking abs, the things that most people like. Now it was about, I want to maintain my health for as long as I possibly can and give myself the best chances not to end up in that same hospital bed that my dad was in and that other family members have ended up in because of genetic predisposition. So I pushed through, and that push through day was a really, really important one. So moving on to number 4, using the past as a place of reference, not residence. Don't look back. You aren't going that way. Most of us have a place and time that we can look at pictures and be like, I wish I was back in that time period, because right then I was really on it. It's really slim, or I was really strong. I had the shape that I wanted. I was just on point, but the glory days are over. And I'm never going to go back there. Don't aim to go back to that time. Make an aim to get yourself to the best place that you have ever been. Because I was that guy. I was stuck in that place for a number of years. I got what I considered the best shape of my life in 2017. I was a lean and mean 165 pounds, just running around loving life, feeling good and feeling confident. And then I'm looking at these pictures of myself at 230, 235, and I'm like, man, I have fallen from grace, and I'm still exercising. I'm still working out. I'm still active, but this weight is just not coming off. And I remember days of just reminiscing and feeling sad and feeling depressed about that. I need some of your willpower. I'm trying to give you some of it, Donna D. I'm trying to give you some of it here. Good morning, Mark. Preparing dinner, but I'm listening. Prayers up for your family, father and family. Love this discussion. Thank you. So I was feeling depressed looking back at that time period and saying, why can't I get back here? Well, I guess it's just inevitable as you age and as your metabolism slows down. There's just nothing you can do. I'm just going to flip through and scroll through all the pictures of the old glory days and talk about where I used to be, until I realized that that was not a productive thing to do because it wasn't helping me. So the only thing that I think, looking at, let's say, past pictures and is to use them as a reference point. Okay, you see these pictures of where you were, you see these videos, whatever it is that you're looking back at or thinking back about. Instead of just looking at it and saying, oh man, this is a good place that I was in and I'll never get back here. Think about what it took for you to get there. Think about the decisions you were making in your life at that time. Think about maybe the things you were eating. Think about your activity schedule. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is extract from that time period that you're thinking of the things that you were doing well that were contributing to that look that you were achieving at that time. Take those with you and use them now, instead of getting into this mind frame of just feeling down and saying, I was once here and now I'm here and I have no way to get back. Take those tools of what you can remember from that time and then build upon those and figure out what your formula is going to be right now. And you know what I want to do, guys? I mean, I'm not qualified right now, so I'm not going to really pitch this out here, but eventually I do want to get my some kind of fitness personal training certification so that I can work with some of you guys online or in person and help with putting these things together. Because I think that's something that I would enjoy doing quite a bit. I just haven't figured out the logistics of it yet. So now we are on to number 5 and the final number on this list. Stay positive and consistent. Very simple. Very simple. Stay positive and stay consistent. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And it's not going to be just a consistent line going up, as I always say, every one of these. It's not just going to be a consistent line. You might jump out the gates really fast. Like, hey, I just started doing this thing a couple weeks ago. I quickly lost 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and my goal is like 50 pounds, and I'm already a third of the way there. And then all of a sudden, you gain a couple. Then what's going to happen from there? If your psyche is just expecting this to be a quick, easy thing, you just decide and you just get to work, and then it just keeps going and going and going in your favor, you're going to end up quitting eventually, because it doesn't work that way. It didn't work that way for me. I started, and I did have a period of time where, okay, I'm just dropping this weight. And then all of a sudden I plateaued, and then family functions happen, holidays happen. My eating goes off the rails. I get stressed in life and put fitness to the side, and I'm not really doing that at the moment. So I'm going forward, but then I'm stepping back a little bit. The thing is, even though I show you guys my highlight reel, there's low times in my life as well. Still, right now, there's times when I feel like I'm slipping. There's times when I fear that I'm going back in the other direction. There's times when I gain a few pounds, right? But staying positive and staying consistent is what keeps me where I am now. Self-talk, positive self-talk. If I get this, a couple of months ago, I remember I went on a trip, and I think I put on 4 to 5 pounds in one weekend. It takes me so long to lose a pound, but I said to myself, I enjoyed myself on the weekend. I spent time with my friends and family on this trip, and I can get right back into my routine when I get home, and I'm going to take it off. And I took that off within a week. And it's because I stayed positive and I stayed consistent to my routine. We are what we do more often than not. Some people just think that an athlete stays in their peak condition 24/7, 365. They're just lucky. That's not true. They have times when they're not driven and motivated. They have times when they go back in another direction that they're not trying to go. They have times when they're depressed. They have times when things are going on in their life. The thing is, you are what you do more often than not, and you're going to continue to be able to push through. If you stay solid, you stay steady, and you stay consistent. If you had seen my posts on, I guess, Instagram from the beginning of this year to the end of the year, it's no secret how I've made this transition. It's because I've pushed through all those days, all those hard days when I want to quit, where I feel like it's not working, where I didn't think I was going to get there. I just kept going. I just kept telling myself, you're going to be there, Mark. And when you get there, there's no plans to go back to where you were before. And that's just my little bit of tips that I wanted to inject into the people who are watching this. We are December 18 right now. And I feel like I know a lot of people are on this new year, new me stuff. And if that motivates you, that's perfectly fine. Consider from December 18 until January 1st, which is exactly 2 weeks from now, as bonus days. Start that routine right now, or at least start figuring it out and mapping it out. And then once you get to January, you're already going to have a head start. Now, I hope that this video has helped some people. And if it has, once again, please make sure to like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Shout out to the replay crew, and we will talk soon. Enjoy your Sunday. Have a great day.